Hello, welcome to my channel, The Sword Rules. Today we're going to be doing an install of this little unit right here. This is the M440i Stage 1 controller from CarBahn AutoWorks. This is everything that comes in the box. I'm not going to be doing an actual install of it because there's a real nice installation video already provided by CarBahn. And boy, I'd really hate to show something wrong and then have somebody, not get it installed correctly on their car. So we're going to be installing it into my car, my 2021 M440i XDrive. But first, we're going to take it out to Mexico and do a 0 to 60 run on it so that I have a baseline which I'll replicate as closely as possible after the install. I want to use the same gas, make sure I'm using relative humidity and temperature about the same. I'm going to do this install probably in about a half hour after the baseline run, and then I'll get right back out there and do another run. Yeah, so stick with me and we'll get this done. Here's a quick video showing the before. Really probably won't be much to see anyway, but this unit right here is going to go down in that hole, right down in there. And the wires run around up front to various connections. I just watched the video again. Looks very simple to do. I'll shoot another video after it's installed. Hey, I got a quick add to the video. I pulled my harness out here. Notice this black plug in here. It is not mentioned in the install video, so I called Ani directly at CarBahn. They're pretty good about answering their phones. He's the software engineer, and I said, I don't know what to do with this plug. It's not in the install video, and he apologized, said they need to put something in for that. This is a bypass plug, so you just release this purple plug connector and then pull this plug out. This is used for, just keep that in your glove box all the time. If you have trouble with the controller or it fails for some reason, you can disconnect this from your controller, plug in that bypass box, bypass plug, and then your car will run like stock. All right, wires have been routed and wire tied in place. Really pretty hard to tell that it's even in there with the already massive amount of wires and conduit running throughout this engine bay. Let's go give it a try. Okay, after routing the wires and putting the covers back in place, I have no control messages and no error lights. Things are looking good. I'll go out and try it out. Okay, the tank was nearly empty. It was in the red. I filled up with 93 octane. Ran it around a little bit, make sure we got good gas in the engine. I'm in Mexico. I'm in Sport Plus mode, traction control off, and I'll do a launch. See what we get for a 0 to 60. Got a 4-second flat 0 to 60, 4.00 exactly. My best ever 3.92. That was on day last fall when we had cool, damp night. I believe the air was pretty dense that night. It's probably what got me the 0.08 advantage. All right. All right, we're back to the same location. We are 1 degree warmer. Same tank of fuel, obviously. It's just a little bit later from our baseline run of 0 to 60. And I will start another test here shortly. Just waiting for a little traffic to go by here. And then I'll pull out on the road and start the new 0 to 60. All right, here we go. Traction control off, Sport Plus, launch mode, resetting, and here we go. Not bad for a first run. 3.77 seconds, so based on the first run, baseline run of 4.00, we have gained 0.23 tenths. That's just in one run. I'll do one more. Looks like we can do our second run right now. Hurry, come to a stop, tap start, and very consistent. Another 3.77. 0 to 60, very similar to the results that I got in the baseline this morning. I got a 4.03 and a 4.00. So 3.77, 2 runs in a row that are 0.23 seconds faster. That is 2 tenths faster in the 0 to 60. So that should be really good results for the 0 to 100 and quarter mile. So I'd like to end this video with a quick summary of sorts. So let me quickly go over the positives and negatives of this CarBahn tune. As far as the positives go, it was easy to install. Besides the cable routing, and the cable routing wasn't that bad, but we'll get into that a little bit later. It was definitely just simply plug and play, truly plug and play. The horsepower and torque gains are evident in both the butt dyno and using my OBDII app, you can see the gains in speed. I should say a decrease in time on my 0 to 60 times. And that should really also improve my 0 to 100 and or quarter mile times even more. Having gained that much, 2 to 3 tenths of a second in 0 to 60, which is about what I expected from the tune. It changes nothing on the car except for the power. Everything still works as it should, and it should, right? But nothing works any differently after installing this tune. And the last positive is I can hear in the exhaust note, it sounds a little bit louder, maybe a little bit more snappy, maybe a little bit more raspy kind of sound when I'm getting on it. Otherwise, normally I really don't hear any difference, but when I'm deep into the pedal on it, it sounds great. Negatives, the only negative that I have is the lack of detailed instructions that came with it. And like I said, I had to make a call into Ani, the software engineer, twice for this. They're very short calls. He took care of the stuff real quick as far as giving me instructions, and he said he thought that the install video that they created had been updated, but it has not. So I'll just run over those items right here as far as the things that weren't included as far as instructions. There's nothing in the video showing that bypass plug or how to use it. And like I said in the video, I had to call in for that. The video doesn't show any up-close views of the 3 plugs that you're going to be working with on the car's stock harness. He does point out the locations of them, but it would be great to show an up-close. Maybe they can make a little improvement on that. Some guys wouldn't need that. I like to double-check all that stuff. A little more detail in the harness routing, although you'll figure it out on your own, but unless you have the harness routed deep underneath things that are already in place, the cover is not going to fit back on right for you. There is a molded pad on the bottom side of the engine cover, and if there's a harness cable running where it shouldn't be, the cover is not going to pop into the cover snaps. There were no instructions on how to register in the app or about the app. It's very basic app, pretty easy to use, and once registered it knows your car and what tunes you're supposed to have. But getting there, I was completely lost. So here are the steps for that. With the ignition on, but without the engine running, you start the app, and then you enter or scan the serial number of your tune box. Then you're going to enter the last 6 digits of the unit serial number to register and send the tune to the tuner box, the controller. Okay. Then what you're going to have is a choice from 3 different tunes. You're going to have 91, 93, or 100, depending on the octane of fuel that you currently have in the tank. There's a button that's down and to the right of those tune choices. There's a warm-up timer setting, and mine came defaulted to 0, and you should have at least 2 minutes in there. I set mine to 2 minutes and 30 seconds just to be on the safe side, but you want that tune to hold off during the warm-up timer of the engine. When the car starts up, it goes into warm-up cold start mode, basically, and give it a couple of minutes before you let that tune go through the system. I believe that happens every time you start it up. If the engine is reading below a certain temperature, it will go into the cold start mode. And the last one is that there is a power button icon below the tune choices again, but to the left on the other side, and you press that power button to turn the unit off for service visits, or if you are unsure of the octane. And that will let it run in stock mode. So those are the verbal instructions that I got from Ani when I called in, and I hope that they're correct. So far they've been working right for me. So overall, I'm glad I installed the tune. I bought it with my own money. This is not sponsored at all. I bought it on sale, so I did get a better price for it than what's normal. And I also did purchase the matching factory insurance option. So CarBahn has me covered for as long as my factory warranty is in place, which is, for me, just a little bit less than 4 years to go yet before my factory warranty runs out. So again, overall, very satisfied with this. I'd like to put it on a real dyno and have somebody give me a readout, tell me what we're looking at for crank and wheel horsepower. But the only dyno in my area is currently charging $500 for a session on an all-wheel drive dyno. So I probably won't be doing that anytime in the future unless someone wants to step up and sponsor me. Anyway, have a good day. I'll catch you all later. If you do go ahead and buy this tuner to install on your BMW M440i, I hope this video helps you in some way. Have a good day.